Telegram. It's one of those apps that you can use to speak a little bit more freely and also supposedly a little bit more privately, but I guess not really. I'm on Telegram. A lot of us in independent media are on Telegram, so you can usually find us there. There's things that we can discuss on there that we can't discuss on YouTube or even Rumble sometimes, to be honest with you. So the founder, CEO of Telegram, Pavel Durov, he was arrested in France. We're going to get started with this clip here from the BBC, and we're going to talk about the warning that he gave to people when he had this conversation with Tucker Carlson before everything went down. Let's dive into this clip here.
The Russian founder of the Telegram messaging app, Pavel Durov, has been arrested at a French airport. Reports say authorities have been investigating a lack of moderators on the app, which they say allows criminal activity to take place. Our correspondent Will Vernon explains what we know about the arrest.
Yeah, this is coming from a number of French media who quote sources in French law enforcement who say that Pavel Durov was arrested on Saturday evening last night at an airport near Paris. He'd apparently arrived on his private jet from Azerbaijan, and they're saying that he was arrested on the basis of an arrest warrant that was issued in connection with Telegram's failure to moderate illegal content and cooperate with law enforcement over drug trafficking, child sexual content and fraud. This is just coming from French media. We should stress, of course, Telegram would almost certainly deny all of those allegations. But
pause. I'm so glad that he did say, remember, this is the statement that is coming from French media. So obviously French media is going to favor the arrest that happened because he was arrested in France. So obviously they're going to back up their country and the actions that happened there. But I think what's important to note is that this idea of not having a moderator, right? So let me tell you what they're really trying to say. You don't have someone there to censor people. That's really what that means. You don't have someone there to censor people. You don't have someone there to remove people from the platform. You don't have someone there to remove certain content from the platform. Now, based on what I've seen on Telegram, I haven't seen any of that type of information that is incriminating. I have seen a lot of foreign policy that's on Telegram, and I'm going to show you one of the things that I think may have caused this that has been featured on Telegram, but it really is one of those apps that you can go to and you can discuss more about Russia and Ukraine on Telegram that you just can't do, obviously, like on YouTube. Even on Twitter, you have to be careful because Elon has been known to suspend people if they don't talk about things in a certain way that he feels serves the purpose of the establishment. So there's that as well. But just keep in mind what he's saying. That is what the French media is saying. Pavel arrived on a private jet. This is someone who is very wealthy. This is not just a regular middle class or working class Joe Schmo, very wealthy guy. And they took him down. So if they can take down someone that is wealthy and someone that's a little bit powerful, that should send a warning to everyone.
We'll have to see now whether he could appear in court today. French media are saying he could be indicted today. And of course, what the reaction will be. You mentioned that the Russian Foreign Ministry, they've said that diplomats in Paris are urgently working in connection with his arrest.
Over the years, we haven't heard a lot about him in public. He's been quite a private person. But more recently, he did a long interview with Tucker Carlson in America, and so has come out more in public, hasn't he?
Yeah, yep. He has. He was quite vocal when he was still in Russia. You mentioned that in 2014, he fell out with the authorities. According to him, the Kremlin tried to basically take control of the company. They tried to force VK, which is the company that he created, Russia's version of Facebook, to hand over personal data of pro-Ukrainian protesters, anti-Kremlin protesters. According to Durov, the company refused to do that, and he was basically forced to sell it to a company that had close links to the Kremlin.
So do you see this? This is not the first time where the government has come after the CEO of Telegram. This happened to him before, right?
VK is now almost totally under the control of the Russian security services.
That is our correspondent, Will. Then just the line that we're getting in from the AFP news agency, which is the French news agency. They are saying that Russia says France are refusing to cooperate after the arrest of that Telegram.
Yeah. So well said here, Ginger. Ginger said French media is no better than the US or UK media, apparently. No, because it's all owned by the West. So they're still part of the West. So don't be surprised if they have similar forms of censorship. I seem to remember Glenn Greenwald last year. He warned people what Rumble was doing in Brazil. They were censoring Rumble in Brazil, which is where Glenn resides. So the feelers have been out there for quite some time, but I want to show you what I think may have caused this. Check this out, fam. Casey Wright shared this. The founder of Telegram crossed Benjamin Netanyahu by allowing classified Israeli documents to be shared. He clearly refused to cooperate, and now he is paying the consequences. Let's take a look at these screenshots here. It says right here, after Iran steals sensitive Israeli data, Israel tries to censor the internet. Listen to this. A few months ago, foreign hackers managed to break into a computer linked to Israel's justice ministry. Tens of thousands of classified files and sensitive emails were leaked. Links allowing anyone to download the breached files were published on Telegram, the popular instant messaging app. So, of course, we would know at some point this would all lead back to Israel. I think this could have been the target here. This could have been the key that made the censorship police come after Telegram. It could have been. Now, there's a little bit more here I want to show you as well. I'll get the picture of Benjamin Netanyahu. And of course, that's Pavel. But these are the kind of things that we need to pay attention to, folks. So think about that. They're saying, again, classified Israeli documents were shared on Telegram. And when they say that there is no moderator, that means there was no one there to either remove that information or to ban that information. So I think this could have been the key that led them down that path. Now, I want to remind everyone, before all this happened, remember, he was on Tucker Carlson's show. Shout out to Hotspot for sharing this. Telegraph founder Pavel tells Tucker Carlson that the U.S. government tried hiring Telegram's engineer in order to install backdoors into Telegram's code and spy on users. Just a reminder, before he was arrested, he tried to warn people what was happening.
We got too much attention from the FBI, the security agencies, wherever we came to the U.S. So to give you an example, last time I was in the US, I brought an engineer that is working for Telegram, and there was an attempt to secretly hire my engineer behind my back by cybersecurity officers or agents, wherever they are called.
The US government tried to hire your engineer?
That's my understanding. That's what he told me.
To write code for them or to break into Telegram?
They were curious to learn which open source libraries are integrated to the Telegram's app, on the client side, and they were trying to persuade him to use certain open source tools that he would then integrate into the Telegram's code that, in my understanding, would serve as backdoors.
Would allow the US government to spy on people who use Telegram?
The US government, or maybe any other government, because a backdoor is a backdoor regardless of who is using it.
Okay, everybody, remember that. So this is just a reminder again, and this reminds me of the warning that Mark Zuckerberg gave when he was on Joe Rogan's show, when he said that the Biden administration heavily, pushed him to censor certain content on Facebook, or one story in particular was the Hunter Biden laptop story, but that's not the only one. So a lot of these, tech CEOs have been targeted by the government, asking them to censor certain types of information. So this is why I tell people, when people say, oh, forget YouTube, just go to Rumble, just go to Rockfin, just go to da-da-da. Like, it's only a matter of time before they start to come after all of them. And it appears now they're coming after Telegram, which I would say you can get away with a lot more on Telegram than you can even on Rumble. For a long time, I feel like Telegram just kind of flew under the radar, but apparently not so much anymore. But this is censorship, ladies and gentlemen. The fact that they have arrested this guy, again, and this wealthy dude. So just think about that. They took him down. The fact that they arrested him, they're trying to silence that platform. They can miss me with the whole, you're not moderating the content. The reality is they don't want the app out there to begin with. And I want to show you what the creator of Rumble is now saying. So he was concerned when this happened to Pavel. Chris Pavlovsky, so he's the CEO of Rumble. He said, I'm a little late to this, but for good reason. I've just safely departed from Europe. France has threatened Rumble. See what I was telling you? How they go with one platform and then they start to target another. France has threatened Rumble, and now they have crossed a red line by arresting Telegram CEO Pavel Durov, reportedly for not censoring speech. Rumble will not stand for this behavior and will use every legal means available to fight for freedom of expression, a universal human right. We are currently fighting in the courts of France, and we hope for Pavel's immediate release. So he tweeted this on the 25th, so the other day. Now, Chris went on to say, these are all the countries that have banned Rumble. China bans Rumble. France threatens Rumble. We leave. Brazil threatens Rumble. We leave. The UK threatens Rumble. Russia bans Rumble. New Zealand threatens Rumble. France arrests Telegram CEO. Free speech is under major assault, and I will not stop fighting for it. So I don't know if everybody knew this, but this is important for everyone to see, all these different countries that targeted Rumble, right? Even the UK, which is interesting because, I mean, Rumble's here in the US and the UK is like our redheaded stepchild or something. I don't know. Like, is that a good way to describe the UK? Or like the UK is like an extension of the United States, right? So it's interesting that they have threatened Rumble. And also, don't forget, look, Russia and China also banned Rumble. So again, just another example to show you how free speech is under attack. And that's very concerning. And so Chris, and I don't blame him, Chris was just like, I'm out of here because I'm not going to stick around in France and see if they come after me. He's like, are they going to arrest me next? I'm getting out of Europe. I'm getting out of here. So that's what Chris has decided to do. It's crazy stuff. And then another thing that's been called out about this particular situation is President Macron. President Macron uses essentially Telegram as a main means of communication with his staff. Now connect the dots. Shout out to Angelo for this, with the arrest of founder Telegram Pavel. What does Telegram know about Macron? And you can see a screenshot here. Macron's pick of encrypted messaging app isn't what you might expect. Top officials use consumer products for government exchanges. President and advisors started using Telegram in 2016. So back to Macron. Pavel was arrested in France. What if there was something on Telegram that exposed Macron? And you know, Macron, he's been a pretty controversial figure, right? We covered the France protests last year, but what if there was information that was leaked on Telegram that was incriminating about President Macron? You can tell me this guy flies into France and just like that, he's arrested? Macron wants to shut that down, I would say, right? That's what it seems like to me. We may never know. But what's interesting is the hypocrisy around this, the hypocrisy that Macron is still like bragging about this commitment to freedom of expression. And shout out to Chris Minahan for this one. French President Emmanuel Macron touted France's alleged deep commitment to freedom of expression on Monday after arresting Telegram founder Pavel Durov for not having enough moderation on his social media site. And that's from this outlet here. Macron claims France is deeply committed to freedom of expression after the arrest. I mean, guys, you cannot help but laugh at the hypocrisy. And I want you to understand that when you hear politicians say this, and they're the ones that are censoring people, when you hear them say, oh, we're totally committed to that freedom of expression, what they really mean is they agree to you expressing what they approve of. So if you approve of the country's narrative or the French government's narrative, they're probably, oh, great, express yourself. But if there's information that is on that app that could be damning about the French government, including Macron, then all of a sudden it's not about freedom of expression. They just want to shut you down. Julian Assange was recently released. Julian Assange is now home with his family. But Julian Assange spent years in Belmarsh for doing his job, just being a publisher. And it is very clear to me the West has not learned anything from Julian Assange, because they're still censoring people. They're still targeting people. They're targeting people that are CEOs of these companies. They have not learned anything from Julian Assange. Now, Chris, again, CEO of Rumble, says, when you say you are committed to freedom of expression, you are lying. We have a letter from France that proves this without a doubt. We had to shut down Rumble in France because you have no commitment to freedom of expression. And that is him retweeting Macron here. I have seen false information regarding France following the arrest of Pavel. France is deeply committed to freedom of expression and communication, to innovation, and to the spirit of entrepreneurship, and it will remain so. So, of course, he's full of crap. And I just think that we are seeing a lot of people be exposed when it comes to censorship, when it comes to the right of free speech, because I never thought in my lifetime I would see the government cracking down on all these platforms. Listen, I'm old enough to remember when there was AOL Instant Messenger. Do you guys remember that? I'm old enough to remember when there was no Wi-Fi. Like, you could not use the phone and the internet at the same time. So if you wanted to use the internet, you had to unplug the phone and plug in the phone line and use the phone so you can use AOL Instant Messenger. So I'm old enough to remember that. And there were a number of things that were on AOL Instant Messenger that I feel like there was no crackdown on or anything. But as social media started to develop, this is when things began to change, whether it was Facebook, MySpace, and rest in peace, MySpace. But all of these other platforms that have been created since then, the Twitter and what's the other one? The Snapchat. People still use Snapchat? Yeah. So Snapchat and, of course, TikTok. And it seems like these platforms weren't a problem until they started to present a narrative that the State Department and a lot of government agencies did not approve of. Facebook was totally fine with you if you were sharing pictures of your dog and your cat and you giving a hug to your boyfriend. But the moment people started to use it to criticize politicians, to criticize the deep state, all of a sudden, they were like, no, we got to crack down and implement censorship. Now, I don't use Facebook as much as I used to because Facebook has too many damn ads. I can't scroll past 2 posts without seeing an ad. It's ridiculous. Twitter seemed to have, not as much problem with you until it was the 2016 election. Was that when that started? I feel like Hillary and Trump. And all of a sudden it was, oh, we got to start suppressing people. Whoa. Censorship here. TikTok was totally fine with you as long as you were dancing and you were making fun of movies or you were imitating actors. TikTok was totally fine with you and the government was totally fine with you dancing on TikTok. But the moment people started to use TikTok to inform people about imperialism, about war, about Gaza, all of a sudden, the ADL says, nope, we got to stop this. Next thing you know, the government wants to crack down on TikTok and they want to use the excuse of China, even though the creator of TikTok is from Singapore. So what did we learn, ladies and gentlemen? That we don't really have freedom of expression. We don't really have free speech. We are allowed to say and express what the State Department approves of. And how long is that? That's for like a limited time, right? That's why you see all these people get deplatformed. That's why you see people get fired from media jobs because they're not going with the State Department narrative. And the ones who remain in corporate media, this is a good thing to point to, the ones who remain there, the ones who were not fired like Mehdi Hassan or Mark Lamont Hill or Don Lemon or Chris Cuomo. Like, we can go on, right? But the ones who remain, those are the ones that have decided to play the game, and they are not willing to rock the boat because they want to keep their cushy gig. They want to keep making millions of dollars, and they don't want to give up that lifestyle. And you always have to keep that in mind. But what just happened to the CEO of Telegram, you should not just brush that aside. Who's next? It's been Telegram, it's been TikTok, it's been Facebook. Who's next? We got to protect the speech, guys. Got to protect the speech.